Hello and welcome. You tune in to Buy and Sell Now. I'm Ankita Saxena and with me is Snehi Shah, and this is the show where we take all your queries and get them answered by our experts. But before we start taking your questions, let's take stock of how the market is shaping up right now. Well, it doesn't look very good as far as the market is concerned. I mean, Nifty is trading towards the day's low. We have managed to, draw down a bit below this 24,000 levels. In fact, we are trading at 23,928 is where we are perched at in the lowest point of the day for Nifty. Nifty Bank also ditto. We are trading at the lowest point of the day right now with cuts of 1.3% on Nifty Bank as well. Look at India VIX also. India VIX has shot up 4% right now. So high volatility in the market, and also, if you look at the Nifty gainers, they're literally just 4 Nifty gainers. The rest are trading in the red. In fact, even the advanced decline ratio, the market breadth is tilted in the favor of declines with just 200 constituents that are advancing right now. Also, it is important to note that on the BSE, the listed companies have erased a market cap worth 8 lakh crore rupees. So the bulls have really reined in. There is a reversal coming in. We did see a good rally come in, and now we see the sell-off come on the back of sentiment. Now, as far as the sectors are concerned, even sectorally, it's just Nifty IT that is managing to trade marginally in the green, with Emphasis, Persistent System, Infosys, TCS, and that are trading in the green. But besides that, all of them are trading in the red. So market, it does not look in the pink of health right now, Snehi.
Well, absolutely. That's the status of the market right now, which is very contradictory to were penciled to open, because GIFT Nifty before market open was above the 24,500 mark. See where we are right now, even struggling to hold on to 23,900. Quite the drop from where we were penciled to open, but ever since we've opened, we've been rather muted. But time now to address all our viewer queries and their stock portfolio recommendations as well. On that note, let's bring on board Lancelot D. Kunha, Chief Investment Officer, Value X Wealth Connect LLP, and on the technicals we also have Forum Chheda. Good morning to both of you. Viewers, before we go ahead with all your stock queries, just a word of caution. When you write to us, please clearly mention the stock that you want to inquire about, the price at which you bought it, the holding period that you are anticipating to hold for, or how long you've held the stock already for, your exact question in terms of what advice you want from our experts. And if this is about a stock that you wish to hold, then please mention the name and the time horizon that you wish to hold the stock for. The number on the screen, the number is flashing on the screen where you can write us, so keep writing to us and let's begin. That's the number, 865-797-4571 is where you can write to us. But on that note, good morning to both of you, Lancelot and Forum. Let's get started with all our viewer queries. First query is coming in from our viewer Satyan. He's holding Aarti Industries at 400 rupees per share. Forum, we'll take this with you since this is a technical query. He's asking if the long term shows 600 rupees on the charts. Is that something you're spotting for Aarti Industries?
Well, hi, good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. Well, to begin with on Aarti Industries, now overall, first, the sector is showing some kind of a stability. Initially, I would say since last year, there was a bit of a downtrend, but now this year, we can see that it started moving in the sideward direction. Now, specifically, when we're speaking about Aarti Industries, it is showing a bottoming out formation at around 370 levels, but yet it can be considered from an intermediate or long-term perspective. 600 seems little on much larger picture. I would say on an intermediate basis, it's better to consider 500 levels. There is an immediate important resistance at around 450. If it surpasses, then we can see 500 levels, but definitely it can be considered as a whole.
Moving on, then coming to Lancelot, this is Shiv Kumar, who's writing from Bangalore. He holds 450 shares of Equitas Small Finance Bank. He's bought it at a price of 33 rupees. What are the prospects? Should he be switching to a larger NBFC, or should he be sticking to a small finance bank? Equitas Small Finance Bank, I beg your pardon.
Right. So I think at this point in time, Equitas Small Finance Bank is doing quite well because the entire sector is looking at, easing of interest rates, and the bond yields have continued to drop lower. So that should augur well for the banks. And as liquidity improves, even the small finance banks will have access to additional funds in order to increase their book. So this is positive for the company and its growth prospects. However, when one is looking at comparative investments, I think the bigger banks will benefit better or more than the smaller banks. And also, if there's any negative risk in the system, it always affects the smaller banks, more than it does impact the larger banks. Plus, if you see, there has been a little bit of concern from the Reserve Bank about microfinance and small banking loans, etc. So that is an aspect which might play out over a period of time. So there could be a larger concentration of small ticket loans in a Equitas small finance bank as compared to maybe the larger banks like ICICI or State Bank, where it's more towards larger loans as well. So given this fact, it should be an option to look at, maybe switching to the larger banks during this period, because you can book your profits at exit from smaller into the larger ones, because the larger ones will outperform over the longer period.
On the banking space, exit your holdings in the small names and rather shift to the big banking names. But Lancelot, we'll get the next query answered by you as well, because it's a funder-based query. And our viewer, Mr. Jayakrishnan, is writing to us from Kerala. The stock in question is Persistent Systems. He's asking if he can buy right now for the medium term. Now, it's been an earnings candidate. Numbers have beat estimates. FY27 guidance is also maintained, is at least the commentary we heard from the management of Persistent. What's the outlook? Do you believe that the stock is ahead for a run-up going, it's up for a run-up going ahead as well, or do you believe all the positives are already factored in?
So positives are already factored in the price, because, the stock trades at a multiple of 60 times earnings. And while it is, focused in an area where there will be growth with continuing to be strong, but when you are paying 60 time earnings, there's a much higher risk of any negative surprise in 1 or 2 quarters that could lead to a re-rating of the stock. So from a perspective that, it could definitely go higher over a longer duration, because the business is very strong. We've seen good numbers coming from them. The announcement also was good as to the outlook, that they do see, maybe a 25%, 20 to 25% growth over the next 2 years. So everything's positive for Persistent, but when you have a high multiple, you are paying the price for 2 years ahead growth.
All right, before we...
Hi there, welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now. Time now to keep going with our viewer queries. We have Forum Lancelot back on board with us. Forum, we'll come to you with this query. Our viewer, Mr. Sandeep, is writing to us from Hyderabad. He's got 100 shares of NATCO Pharma at 858 rupees per share. He's asking for the price target and what are you viewing on the charts for a time horizon of just 2 months. So very short-term view is something that he has requested. What are you spotting for NATCO Pharma next 2 months?
Well, when we talk about the overall stock, the stock price has seen a very steep decline this year. Even this year, we look at the stock was trading at 1400 at the beginning of Jan, and then we saw a very steep fall coming in. However, the stock price is now trying to take support at these levels of 740 to 745, where it's formed more like a double bottom also. And along with that, we can say a sideward consolidation, when most of the stocks did see in the similar phase or the similar months in March, as well as in the current month, that it had been consolidating. So the stock price has moved up. In fact, yesterday there was an exceptional increase in volume as well, and it took off. Was up by nearly 6.9 to 7% up. But today, along with the market sentiment, we are seeing a decline. He can, I think, consider holding on to the stock. I would suggest to keep a very strict stop loss below the levels of around 827. And on the upside, watch out, since it's a 2-month time horizon, what he's looking at. So can watch out for almost like a target of closer to 1050 to 1100, where there is some kind of a resistance where the price can be faced.
All right, moving on from NATCO Pharma to the other counter, Lancelot, coming to you. Suraj is writing from Hyderabad. He says he's holding Tata Consumer products for a price of 1,130. So that's the quantity, I beg your pardon. He holds 1,000 shares of Tata Consumers at a buying price of 94 rupees. He wants to know if he should be holding it or exiting the stock. Now, we did see, the results come out for Tata Consumers yesterday, and it was largely in line with a beat coming in on the PAT and the volume front. But what do you see going ahead for Tata Consumers?
So, if you look at the entire sector, the FMCG sector, we had Nestle, we had Hindustan Lever and Tata Consumer come out with their results in the last couple of days. And the outlook for all of them is that they are seeing a gradual increase in demand. Over the next 6 months, all these companies are expecting a gradual increase in demand. And if you look at these companies, I think the current focus has been to try and manage the volatility in the raw material prices, because there have been sharp spikes in raw material costs, in input costs for them, and that has resulted in profitability actually getting impacted. So I think with going forward, we expect that the volatility in terms of raw material prices should ease up a bit, and that should augur well for improving margins. And along with some increase in volumes, you will see gradually the sector improve, and Tata Consumer also should do much better. When you look at valuations, since the stocks have corrected quite a bit, valuations have now become relatively reasonable. And so, from a growth perspective, if you're looking at a steady, stable business, I think this is a time when one can look at adding to Tata Consumer to the portfolio as well.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on Tata Consumer. Lancelot, we'll come back to you because next query is also fundamental in nature. This is our viewer Krish writing to us from Chennai. Stock in question is SBI Life. Also another earnings candidate. He holds 175 quantity. Buy price is at 1,455. Asking for an outlook for the next 3 years. What's your view on SBI Life Insurance?
So I think I would tend to agree that SBI Life is doing well, and the insurance sector is growing. Also, if you look at the last 2-3 years, there has been a shift from insurance for the purpose of protection as opposed to insurance for the purpose of tax saving or investment. So given that we are seeing, some amount of traction, SBI Life is one of the largest insurance players, especially with the strong franchise of SBI and its branches behind them. You are seeing, great amount of opportunity in terms of converting, or offering protection to in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. So while the growth may not be that spectacular as compared to some of the large sectors, it has a long runway. So if you look at the next 2 to 3 years, I think SBI Life Insurance should do exceedingly well. And it's one of the companies which is, reasonably priced. It has corrected quite a lot in this fall. And so from this perspective, I think, yes, it does offer an opportunity to get into a stock that has a good long-term growth story.
All right, moving on then, coming to you, Forum. This is Satyaveni who's writing from Hyderabad. He says that he's purchased Infosys 180 shares at a buying price of 1800. He wants to know if he can exit or average, and if he can average in, then at what price should he be averaging it in? We have seen considerable drawdown in the IT names forum, but the thing is that the macro on the macro level, the headwinds still remain, right? So on the charts though, do you see a buy call coming in on Infosys, and what levels can he average in?
Well, as you rightly made a mention that we have seen a very steep decline or a drawdown in the IT space, and especially the large caps have actually seen a very steep fall this year. So specifically, when we speak about IT, technically, rather Infosys, technically speaking, that it is not really looking very attractive. After a steep fall, what we are seeing a bit of a rebound is probably just as I'm suggesting, it's like a rebound coming in. So according to me, for now, I would suggest him to hold on to the stock, but not to consider adding in or averaging the stock, and hold on for much more longer perspective. But his entry levels are much higher. So rather, I would suggest that wait for a bit of a rebound towards 1580 to 1600 levels to consider switching from the stock. Although this rebound is currently can be seen on the charts, is because an RSI, like an indicator, is showing some positive divergence. So along, once the markets become little favorable, we can expect the stock to move up a little higher, but it would be advisable to switch and look at some like a banking space or probably like a defense space.
Switch is the call coming in on Infosys. But on that note, time to hit pause on all the queries. We'll just slip into a very short break and be right back, where we'll once again begin addressing all your queries. So viewers, keep writing to us and we'll be right back. again to get your queries answered, viewers, and we have Forum and Lancelot joining us once again on the show. Lancelot, we'll come to you now for the next query that's coming in on Pyramal Pharma. It's from our viewer, Mr. Subramanian, who's writing to us from Chennai. He's got Pyramal Pharma. We don't know the quantity he holds, but the buy price is 107 rupees per share, which he purchased 2 years ago. So he's sitting on the decent profit on Pyramal Pharma right now, even though the stock is down by 8% in the last 3 months. He's asking if he should hold or accumulate further, and if you could, just share your views on Pyramal Pharma, please.
So I think, pharma companies are going to see some amount of, stress as far as growth is concerned, because, with the US likely to, impose tariffs, a lot of the pharma companies, including Pyramal Pharma, were looking at the US as a market in terms of being able to promote their formulations. Now, the other space that is also seen some amount of competitive intensity is the space of off-patent drugs. And Pyramal Pharma, like the others, was also taking advantage of drugs that were going off-patent, producing those pharmaceuticals, those formulations, getting them approved by the US FDA, and then launching them, overseas. However, the pricing of these drugs have now sort of collapsed because most of the original patent holders are actually dropping their prices to the levels where it's not really making much sense, or there's not much margin for the new pharma companies. So I think going forward, the pharma space is sort of evolving and is in a position where these changes are going to affect a lot of the companies. There may be consolidation in the space. You may see some of the weaker companies get weeded out. So I would suggest that since there is already profit in the stock, one can look at, booking profits. And given that the outlook is quite uncertain and unstable, one can book profits, wait outside, and you may get a better opportunity to look at investing back in the space.
All right, moving on then. In fact, Lancelot, you will have to take this question. It's on the fundamentals. This is Ignatius is writing from Kolkata. He says that he's bought 70 stocks of Tata Power for 406 rupees, and he's been holding it for the last 1 year. He wants to know if he can hold it for another year. What are the prospects for Tata Power? Ignatius is writing from Kolkata. So what's your take on this?
So I think Tata Power is one company that has, shown significant growth. Structurally also, it's moving more of its power generation capacity to renewable energy, renewable power. And what we are seeing is that, they are partnering with housing societies, with, companies like Hindustan Petroleum to put up charging stations where the recovery or rental for the power generated and distributed is much higher. So given that the focus is and the growth in that space is significantly high. So I think you will see, significant growth coming in for Tata Power going forward. And while he has purchased it at a little higher price, he can look at, maybe averaging it whenever it's on the lower side and hold on to this stock for the next 2 to 3 years. One should see good returns from Tata Power as well.
Okay, so that's the take on Tata Power. We'll come to you, Forum. Our viewer, Mr. Sanjeev Sinha, is writing to us from Lucknow. He wants to purchase 50 shares of CAMS. He's asking if this is a good long-term investment. What are the price levels that you're spotting for CAMS, and if this is an investment you would advise?
Overall, CAMS has seen a decent up move in the past 2 months. They're considering from the end of Feb to nearly beginning of March, like from the levels of 3,100, the stock price moved to closer to 4,100. So that's nearly 1,000 points of gains already. Overall, since he's looking from a long-term perspective, that's a good a decision to get into the stock. So overall, the stock, I think, is just looking at more consolidation, and currently with the markets going down today, it's giving an opportunity also to buy. However, I would suggest that the levels to watch out for buying are closer to around 3,800 to 3,820. So that would be a decent, good buying level also. The stock price is turning around and is changing a good from sidewards to now upward movement. So it would be a good long-term investment.
All right, good long-term investment. That's CAMS. But coming to you then, Lancelot, this is This is Venkat Rao writing from Visakhapatnam. He's a senior citizen and he's holding REC 800 shares at a buying price of 549. So he's sitting at a huge loss right now. He wants to know how can he average in. He wants the perspective on REC.
While REC is financing basically rural electrification, and rural electrification is seeing a large investment happening mainly on the renewable energy space. So there is a great opportunity in terms of REC being able to support the various government programs in renewable energy, and hence it's increasing its size of loan book, and with interest rates now looking to stabilize at lower levels, net interest margins should improve. So in the short term, I think REC will benefit from this spurt of liquidity, lower interest rates, and growing demand in the loan book side. However, when you look at it from a perspective that it's very focused only on one sector and has a lot of support from the government, that itself does not give it enough diversification in order to reduce its business risk. So, from a longer term perspective, I think one should look at diversifying your risk as well as moving part of your portfolio into other companies. But if you're looking at the next 12 months to 24 months, I think the REC should do very well, and one can stay invested for the next 12 to 24 months and then look at cashing out or moving to alternate stocks as well.
Take on REC from Lancelot. Forum will come to you. Stock in question is Ola Electric. Our viewer, Ms. K. Himwati, is writing to us. She's a housewife from Warangal. She's holding 3,500 shares of Ola Electric at an average price of 70 rupees per share. The stock is almost at 50 now. Spotting any improvement on the charts? Should she continue to hold or book her losses and exit?
Well, the overall chart or the trend of the stock has been very weak. We've just seen a consistent decline in the stock from those highs of closer to almost 157 odd. And today the stock price is trading at 49, and her entry levels are also very high. According to me, I think it's better to switch from the stock, though the stock price is showing some signs of stability. But I think switching from the stock into some like banking or financials is much better. So which can help her to recover her loss also, and probably get into some of the momentum or the better quality stocks. So according to me, it would be a switch from these levels as well.
All right, moving on to the next query, and the last query for the day. This is Soma Shekhar, who's writing from Bengaluru. He wants to know your advice on Lancelot, whether he should be buying SBI, BHEL or BEL at as of today. From these PSU names, which one, where do you see value?
I think from these three names, I would see the greater value at the moment on BEL. So SBI did come out with, has come out with good numbers. You've seen the stock rally, but valuations are not cheap any longer. And while growth is more certain, I think because investors have been, buying more into into stocks where they foresee larger growth, we've seen SBI, shares move up considerably from the lows. As far as BEL is concerned, I think there's a huge order in terms of electronics for various helicopters and various fighters, which various companies will be producing, and most of these orders will go to BEL, who is providing the avionics as well as all the electronic systems for fighter jets as well as helicopters. And so BEL should be, should get a benefit. If you look at the stock price, the stock had corrected from its high significantly, and now is trading at around 14 to 18 times forward earnings. So one can look at making an investment there with a 2 to 3 year horizon.
Okay, so that's the take on BEL. But on that note, I'm afraid we're completely timed out on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Forum and Lancelot, thanks so much for joining us. Viewers, thanks so much for writing to us. Keep writing to us over the weekend, because we'll take all your queries on Monday at 11 a.m. as well. But on that note, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. From Ankita, me and the team that put this show together, thanks so much for tuning in. Markets at Noon is up next.